You're listening to the Yahoo Finance Small Cap Show, powered by AGORACOM.com, the web's leading small cap portal.
Welcome to the AGORACOM CEO interview program. I'm Al O'Grady. And on today's show, we have with us Mr. Jim Miller-Tait. Jim is the principal geologist with Bard Ventures Limited. Bard Ventures is a small-cap mineral resources company with acquisitions in British Columbia. The company, which is based in Vancouver, has its main focus on the Lone Pine Moly project, where a drilling program is already underway. It also has a working interest with the Wazie Creek Zinc-Lead-Silver project, also in BC. Bard Ventures trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol CBS. Mr. Miller-Tait, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much, Al. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, Jim, the date of today's recording, Tuesday, January 13th. Earlier today, you guys just had a press release that came out having to do with a 43-101 estimate. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. We had a couple of releases in the last 2 weeks because we just finalized up from our drilling of the main Alaskite zone. There's 3 other zones of molybdenum mineralization on the property, but the focus has been on, since 2006, is on the one zone, the Alaskite. And we had an independent, Ron Simpson, who's very well known here in North America for doing resource estimations, and certainly very qualified to do this. And so we came out with a pretty spectacular release, being this early into an exploration program on a property. And it came out with just over, at a 0.04 MO cutoff, moly cutoff. There's a measured and indicated resource of 110 million tons grading 0.083 MO. And then if you take the what is typically looked at for mining these deposits is around a 0.07 or 0.06 MO cutoff. There's a total of, in this first couple of phases of drilling, we've drilled off already 180 million tons of 0.071 MO. So it's pretty substantial this early in the game on a project.
Okay, now were you surprised by those samplings, or was it pretty much what you expected all along?
We knew it was going to be somewhere around just over, back of the envelope, just over 100 million tons. But really what skewed it was the last couple holes we did, which were step-outs to the northwest, and they hit really good grade mineralization. So that sort of bumped it up above the 150 million ton, because really you look at on these type of deposits, even the remote ones, people are talking about 100 million tons of 0.06. But what's critical about this one is it, first of all, is where it's located. It's only located 15 kilometers from a main industrial center, Houston, BC, and south of another, mining community of Smithers, BC, which is about 45 minutes away. So, and it's only a couple kilometers right off the main highway. You have a natural gas line, and then you have a high-tension power supply that goes to Kitimat with a big substation. So, I mean, your infrastructure, and there's CN Rail. The main rail line is only 15 kilometers away for load-out for concentrate.
Right, so obviously you have all your ducks in a row on this one.
Yeah, because basically when you look at, especially in northern BC, there's lots of deposits that are substantial in size. A lot of majors own them, but the problem with all of them is that they lack the infrastructure. They lack hydropower, and to do open pit mining, you need hydro. It's really uneconomical to look at these big deposits to try and do with diesel generated power because of the power requirements. So this one's, you have a substation right within a kilometer of the deposit. Yeah, and then when you have a deposit of this size, right away with your first couple passes of drilling, I mean, we only drilled 41 holes in it, and it's open to depth in 2 directions. So to have 180 million tons of basically mineable grade out there, it's pretty unusual that you can find one of these things right on the highway. Okay,
let's talk about some of your other press releases. As you mentioned right from the outset, you had some news also within the last 2 weeks. Why don't you tell us about that release?
Yeah, we did. Whenever we look at these type of deposits, right away you want to get a handle on, even before a resource, is you want to start your metallurgical work, because there's no point drilling off a deposit and expounding about the size and the grades of these things if you haven't got your metallurgy pinned down. If your metallurgy is not successful, then you can have problems down the road, and you really want to solve that problem before you drill something off. So about 6 months ago, we started with G&T Metallurgical here out of Kamloops, well-known metallurgical group, and put in representative, actually lower grade than the actual resource at 0.06 MO. We put in 60 kilograms of drill core, so basically we quartered the drill core. We already hired assays before, so it's representative of the main deposit. And we put that in for flotation testing, Bondward index, and if there's any deleterious elements in it. And it worked out perfectly. First pass metallurgy was plus 90% recovery, and high-grade con for moly at plus 43% with no deleterious elements. So it was a real winner. Because if you have any one of those that doesn't work, then you have problems down the road.
Okay. Let's get a little bit of background on this site. Is it just a moly play right here, Jim?
There is other zonation, but the main focus is the moly. There is some silver with it and some copper. And there's other zones on the property there's actually a base metal, which you do find in these type of big systems. When you look at regional exploration around these type of moly deposits up in this belt, like around Indaco, which is a producing mine, long-term producing mine, is you do get a zonation as you go out from the molybdenum core, which is the elasticite zone we drilled off, and you get a zonation grading into some copper, some silver, some gold mineralization on the flanks, and actually into further out there, you're into like up on the Bard's Grouse Mountain properties, more base metal horizon where you got copper, zinc, lead, silver, gold. So, but the main focus that we've zeroed in on really is to bring this elasticite zone up to a resource that is substantial.
Okay, so it sounds like moly, that's you meat and potatoes, and copper, and anything else, that's gravy pretty much on top of that, right?
Yeah, we will keep exploring outward from the core area, but really we want to focus on the molybdenum right in where we are.
Okay, so speaking of moly, what's the outlook on moly on the world stage?
Like every other metal, it's taken a real beating over the last 6 months, and it was one of the last ones to come off. But when you start looking down at the infrastructure that's required, like over here in North America, they're talking about doing the Mackenzie pipeline, the tar sands is all piping, and basically the moly strengthens all the steel. So anything long-term strengthened metal, like pipelines, tar sands, any oil refinery products, which are going to come back eventually, is moly. So we see a long-term increase in the price of moly.
Okay. As I said right from the outset, you had a press release today, 43-101 resource estimate. Where do you go from here? What are your next steps?
Right now, what we're doing is, because we've only explored a small portion of the property where this elasticite zone is, there's 3 other known zones of molybdenum mineralization, which we just touched on cursorily. And also, what we've sort of pinned down geologically is there's basically a barren granite core, which is typical of these type of environments. And our elasticite zone is just off to one side of this barren granite core. And usually you get the moly mineralization all the way around the core, dead granite, basically. So what we've done in the past is last spring is we did a 3D inversion induced polarization and magnetic survey, which basically goes on charges the ground, and it identifies where the elasticite is relative to the other rock units where the moly is. So right now what we're doing is we're putting all the drill hole data back into the geophysical program, and you actually can look at it in 3 dimensions to a depth of about 300 meters. And then we can identify other areas around this granite intrusive body for a signature of the elasticite zone as well. So basically we can, now that we found 180 million ton deposit is no small deposit, but now that we identified one of those, we can use that geophysical footprint and compare it to the other areas of the geophysical surveying which we've already done. And then we'll also expand that geophysics, and then we'll be in drilling to test these new areas as well as expanding on the known elasticite zone.
Okay. Jim, we're quickly running out of time, and that's it as far as the formal questions are concerned. But as always, I leave my guest with the last word. Any final thoughts? Anything that you'd like to add right now?
Well, I think that in the last year, 6 months, everyone's been pounded out by the drop in prices of base metal commodities, and moly's included in that. And that as far as we can see, we can't see anything slowing down worldwide, so we can see an increase in base metals on the moly price in 2009.
Okay. On that note, Jim, I want to thank you very much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us about Bard Ventures.
Thanks very much, Al.
And Bard Ventures trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol CBS. And you've been listening to Jim Miller-Tait, geologist and director with Bard Ventures, on today's Small Cap Show, produced by AGORACOM. I'm Al O'Grady. Thanks for joining us.